Good morning. Happy Friday. All right. So it appears for the moment we've got a few hours left for the end of the week in this market. You can't ever be too sure, but it looks like we have a failure, a significant failure up there on the weekly time frame. That bottoming tail bar was pretty darn bullish. Well, it is what it is. I mean, I see the bar, I see it break the lows, and I see the reaction, the sideways price action there. And I was like, okay, that should go up. And we had news, of course, Fed announcement and whatever. And so now it's not bar by bar. We got a big, nasty red bar after a bottoming tail bar that was a continuation pattern. It had 4 weeks of sideways price action at resistance and a continuation bar, and now it's failed. So markets are gapping up here this morning. The gap up is relatively insignificant in relation to that retracement on the daily time frame and that red bar. One part of our, let me back up, because a lot of what we do as we, especially in the times where time frames are out of an alignment. One of the things we talked about was prices ran up as they did last week, right? Big bars up into resistance. This is where it was. And we needed to see some price action up here, since this was short-term extended, bullish price action at resistance to look for a move higher. It never happened, right? So yesterday it was the yo-yo, but the yo-yo string, is it ready to break? That was the theme, starting the day. And so now we've got a move back down to this support, typical reaction after 3 days down into support, positive, buyers stepping up at support. So what we look for now is, well, I'll tell you what we don't look for is for the markets to go all the way back up to the top of the trading range today, especially with one bar. And to keep an alignment with the higher time frame bearish view is that, as you know, it stays in the lower half of the red bar and ideally in the lower third. So it's gapping up here, right, 408-ish into this gap fill. And for the bearish view, I'd like to see it not get much further than where it is right now. And you can see as I go here, there isn't much stopping it. It came down hard, retraced to minor resistance, got slammed back down again into this support. Now it's up a little bit into this little, you can see area here on the hourly time frame, which provides some kind of resistance. So what we're looking for is not to get much higher, jiggle around down here, maybe not do much of anything today. And we don't know. I mean, it's traveled a long way. So one of our concepts for reading the price action is that after a wide range bar, we typically get a narrow range bar. And a wide range bar is made up of multiple bars. So when you see a multiple bar move like that, it's going to be a wide range bar in some higher time frame. However, you compress the data, and you can see it there on the weekly time frame. And so coming down here, getting a narrow range day today, it's gapping up here, as already said. If it ends the day with a red bar, that would be in alignment with this higher time frame and what I just spoke about. And as always, we just see where it ends. So shorting at this point, just based on this daily chart, does not make sense because we don't have a continuation pattern. So same as we wanted up here to get some kind of a continuation pattern in alignment with the weekly chart, we want some kind of a bearish continuation pattern down here in alignment with the weekly chart which we'll see if it unfolds into next week, where we would get a move down to the 200 and wherever it might go from there. That's what we're going to be looking for today. And of course, starting out with the gap up, what it does at 5 minutes or 15 minutes, and from there and so on. And, how it reverses, what it looks like intraday, where, some type of retest and failure pattern on the 5-minute chart could set up in the first half hour or so. Let me see where things go from there. All right. So my normal routine is to see where this is trading, because SPX does not update. So into the gap fill, I look at the futures, which are up a little bit. You can see the bit of a turn. So so we have multiple concepts. What you see in MT Live is kind of a short version of everything that's covered in a course. So when we get into, is it going up, down, or sideways, trend section, one of the concepts or nuances would be the angle of retracement. So just like this one straight up was bullish, this almost went straight down. The angle of retracement is bearish. There are different angles on how prices move up. So vertical, got a little bit of a void there. And I'll drag that down there. We'll look to the left. Let's get rid of this green thing here. Drag. We'll get rid of that. Drag this down. And that's lines up in a reasonable place as far as what I was talking about, a retracement. So still, trading range, big trading range, little trading range. You see which way things go from here. SPX, how much things may have moved from here. We have 4150 and 4025. And things are still relatively close, but 4150 is above this prior high up here, where things are at right now. I think that's a reasonable distance away. In the past, we could get further away, but you could watch to see how things move in the first 5 or 10 minutes to see if that advance that we saw on the futures and SPY, if they go a bit higher, and maybe to get up to, 41.55 or 60. So at least, you can see it's in the area of this pivot, which is good. And on the downside, 40.25, opening here, I don't think it'll go down there, but I think it's less of a no-brainer since, it's not bad. It went down 3 days in a row. It's just relatively close. It's on the other side of the 50 MA. To come down that far another day, it could happen, where it takes out that low. But so the greater than 100% retracement, if it was to do that in the 50 MA, it's likely that it would bounce back up again from there. So I'm not expecting some big move today. More of the thought of a consolidation kind of day because of the wide range bar down here and at support. So I think either one of them could work. I'm not calling either one of them a no-brainer, but I think, the upside because of the way down is more of what could be a no-brainer than the downside. All right, other markets. I'm going to look at the transports because the title there is Recession Becoming a Reality. And I don't think the pundits in the news believe it just quite yet. But look at the head and shoulders top on the transports. They still haven't cracked the neckline, but that's not a good sign. It's a pretty textbook head and shoulders, which is sometimes we call them upside shakeouts, where it was in an upward trend. It gets a deep retracement to major support. It makes a lower high, the right shoulder. And then we're going to see if this breaks. next week. So that's not a good sign. Oil was amazing. The breakdown, the retracement is part of the yo-yo all the way back down again. Look to the left, it's on support, so it bounces back up. How far will it get? It shouldn't get that far. If the way this came down, that got a little mini climactic on the way down into support. So it's bouncing. Let's see how far that gets. So this market could yo-yo back again. Who knows? But look, coming down as this did, deep retracement, the angle of retracement, oil going down, transports look like they're going to drop in the face of oil becoming cheaper. That's bearish. Normally transports do better as oil comes down. So that's a little more of a confirmation, but we need to see the transports actually break. And we've got, we looked at the semiconductors yesterday or 2 days ago, was in the sell zone area. They're beginning to weaken, and we want to see if this bottoming tail pullback actually fails. I'm not sure yet. Retailing, head and shoulders top. It looks like it's ready to break that neckline. So retailers, that breaks, going to be another coffin nail in it if it actually breaks there, but it's a distribution pattern. So we're still looking for lots of confirmation. Steel, an industrial metal, topping pattern, head and shoulders top, still hasn't broken. Another bearish sign. Copper hasn't broken yet. So you can see this little mini head and shoulders top right there, and retest pattern. So these are industrial metals. Do they begin to break down? Oil breaking down. Retailing breaking down. And the Russell, speculative. How do institutions, are they bullish or bearish? Well, they don't know what to think, like the rest of us, because there's so many trading ranges. But, over the couple of weeks, we talked about could this reverse back up again? And it hasn't, but it hasn't broken down either. Gold collapsing here this morning. We'll see if that breaks. I guess I messed up this SI. Slowing momentum to the upside, the distance between the highs. We should see if this actually breaks here. The dollar, still in this trading range, up here a little bit this morning. And so I think we're going to be stuck here overall today, as everyone tries to figure out, is the next shoe ready to drop? I'm sure everyone saw the banks. There's one bank index that broke. The regionals, that broke down. XLF broke down. So there's little to nothing good going on here other than just waiting for confirmation. And you can see this is up a little bit here, gapping up. And we'll see if it gets sold into. Jets, the ETF for airlines. So I'm not expecting any kind of a big move today, but as we'll see where things end, and then where we go from there next week. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, I said yesterday we're down a lot. I was hoping for this, a little bit of a bounce sell setup, as Greg's just been describing. All right, so Greg, okay. There you go. There's my screen now. So we have jobs report out, getting a gap up here. So I think it could be a good zero DTE put spread day. And for the spiders and SPX, maybe a condor at the levels. I think same thing. We're gonna just kind of sputter and stay range bound, try to bounce a little bit, see how high it gets. I saw a number of banks getting a little relief bounce here. Look at Zion up a lot, a regional bank. Well, that's a percent wise, that's huge. Yeah. So I don't know if the Fed did anything to kind of give them a little bit of short-term relief, or if this is just totally a little short covering bounce or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, Apple earnings, that's helping the NASDAQ, of course. But you have no prior high. There's no trade. There's zero trade right now. Expedia, yeah, I saw that gapping up. Yeah, that's a big gap. We got a lot of gappers here today. Yeah, I saw Alex mentioned Fubo. I don't know if that's earnings or some other thing, but definitely it's a gap breakout. I posted Dash 30-minute high. That's a nice level where it's not too excessive. It's gapping over a number of pivots. So Greg teaches a 7-step gap analysis, which is necessary from a textbook, but I use a 2-step for speed. And it's a compelling gap with a void. That's number one. And number two, put it in a 5-minute window and see how it sets up in the first 30 minutes. When you decide whether you want to trade stocks or options. So that I like a lot. And JCI, similar, see, gapping right over these pivots here with a void to 64. So that I'm going to keep an eye on too. I have that in the bottom right. I got Dash in the middle. Dunking, we have this as a core long, and we legged into a covered call. We have the 2350s. So this is actually a very big gap. $3 divided by 21 that's a massive gap. So I'll just watch it and see what we want to do later. We can either let it be assigned at the 2250 short call, because that's exactly what a short call is, right? We're saying you can take my merchandise at that price on or before expiration, which expiration is today. But we have an 18.58 cost basis. So if we let it get assigned, then we made $5. So, do the math. $5 divided by 18.58 is a pretty darn good short-term trade. Let's go to the top earnings here, see what else we got. There's Apple booking. Was down a lot more. It's a big topping pattern. That'd be a good call spread, but I know from experience he's very spready. That's a big percent gap on EOG, but no pattern. Monster. I don't remember looking at this one yesterday in the earnings. We didn't do any earnings trades yesterday. I actually said Bill would have worked, Craig. Remember we were talking about the 60s? So you can see that the implied volatility was pricing in a big move. And, that's the game on selling these things. We use a technical based approach, and we think that's a nice bottoming pattern. So we were contemplating selling a put spread, and that one would have worked out. But it could have also gapped down $15. But that one, whoever did it, worked. But things that rally like this into earnings, I'm always favoring an out of the money call spread. So this actually looks like it's opening flat. So this is a fantastic zero DTE call spread candidate. 5, 10, 15-minute low. I don't know. I'm going to put this in a window. Looks great. All right, Munster. Ether, I posted as a long idea yesterday. This is a beautiful retest turn at the 50. I see one little print up there, but MSI, no pattern, gapping up over yesterday's high, but still range bound. FTNT was up, now down. We'll come back. AIG up big. Wow, it's getting to the top of the range. But I don't know. We'll take a look at it. M-chip was a sell setup. That but for earnings, that would have been a good short under yesterday's low. It's getting now down to 72, way down here. I don't know what to do with it. Jose asking about Schwab. It's gapping up to 49. It's a gap and a downtrend. I don't see anything to do there. And look how a 15-minute chart, even for a day trade, it's gapping to all that resistance. So I don't. Yeah, I mentioned that already. Alex looks good. I put it on the list. This is an ugly gap. We were actually contemplating a condor on this, but I didn't do anything. I know I saw Carvana gap today. That's a big gap to the top of the range, but it could be the start. Could be the start of bottoming pattern. So square up a little bit, now opening flat and a downtrend. I think PayPal's better. Echo Delta gives me a headache looking at that pattern. MTD lower. I personally don't. I just hate overlapping control, ugly bars, but under yesterday's low looks lower. Overlapping bars again, but nice daily, weekly. You got a little bear sandwich there, so 30-minute high, that's not bad. Has some room. There's our dash, AEE. It's bullish consolidation over yesterday's high. It's an idea. WPM up and down, 50 and change, middle of the range, no interest. It looks like it's gapping at 415. We'll come back to you, Manpower. Pod, I don't see any gaps, but if it is, well, $324 stock, so $2 gap is pretty immaterial, but it's bullish daily, weekly, monthly. Let's come back to that. There's our bill we talked about. Gap's too big to do anything. E and B, it's a big trading range mess. Charlie India is a big gap, 253. It's in a nasty downtrend, gap and a resistance, but it could be the start of a downside shakeout, short-term low. This was down, now up, gap fill, no interest. That's the one I said, another gap breakout. This one gapping down. It's already down a lot. CNHI, that looks like a good short. And it's gapping under yesterday's low, breakdown daily, weekly. 10, 15-minute low, if that can't bounce. I like that. I can't tell you're gapping that long. EPAM, that's a nasty gap breakdown. This one I said yesterday. If it's, yeah, Gregor, I already have it posted, 30-minute high, but we'll see if we can get a different entry. I said this is a fantastic pattern if it opened relatively flat. Short, daily, weekly. Short yesterday's low. This one's down a lot. Look at the volume here on this prior low. We'll come back. F1 is same as F1. Wow, I'm shocked no prints on MGA. But that's a short setup, daily, weekly. No pattern. CBOE, topping pattern could be a call spread. IEP. This thing got smashed. Carl Icon. Look at the volume on that thing. That is insane. 3 days volume compared to the past. Wow, that's the first thing that just jumped out at me. Now it's gapping to yesterday's high. It's kind of a two-headed inverse head and shoulder. So that very well could be a day trade long idea. I'm going to put that in the window. IEP. No pattern. You look, well, actually there is a pattern. It's opening flat. That's a sell setup. So, you know, I don't trade earning stocks in the first 5 minutes, but you can wait 5 minutes and then short yesterday's low on that. PAA was up, now down. I'm going to set an alarm at 12:40, 12:40. That's a buy setup at the 200. AMC gapping up a little bit. We said yesterday it was a short-term bottom. It would have been a put spread candidate, but there was no juice. Pre-market, the horsemen are holding very well. So I you know, provided we don't sell off at the open, I think we're still going to churn higher a little bit into the intraday void. BEP will come back. BEPC was a breakdown. Gapping up a little bit. You could short yesterday's low. Fiber down under 21. That's, you know, bearish. FSK 18 and change, trading range, no interest, no prints, but I hate the way it trades. PBF 33. Now, if this were fluid all the way down and didn't have these 4 or 5 sideways bars, then that would interest me a whole lot more for a counter trade. Sam, your drop down. DEA, Sam's asking me. Yeah, DEA is fine. I'm watching pull back. I just had an alarm PAA go off. Oh, that was my 12:40 alarm. So, you know, let's see how that sets up. Wow, I put monster in a window. Man, okay, I thought it was opening flat. And that's still strong. The tick over 1500, AD line almost 2000. So that's a powerful little gap here. Look at Dash slamming into the gap fill. So that's what you do not want to see when I talk about the controlled, you know, type of setup. All right, so we just got to relax and let it set up. Coin here is a nice little gap. No great pattern, but that's a bullish gap. Bitcoin actually sold off a little bit pre-market. Lift was a put spread idea, but it didn't have enough juice yesterday. That's a nasty gap. This is Uber is eating their lunch, according to these two charts. Wow. All right, so your DEA, just some other Zion. And again. Fubo. Yeah, I'll put Fubo in a window. I'm gonna get rid of